first ever Crypto Ball is one of many events that will mark Trump's return to office.
And a source says that Snoop Dogg is among the headliners for what's being called the Crypto Ball. It's being held at the Andrew W. Mellon Auditorium. That's off Constitution Avenue and 14th Streets in Northwest D.C. And Mr. Trump, who once expressed skepticism about cryptocurrency, is now all for it. He has promised to make the U.S., quote, the crypto capital of the planet.
It's always an interesting time in the crypto markets, and there's a lot of volatility, and there's a lot of stuff to watch out for. I'd say at a very high level, look, this in the near term, there's obviously a few headwinds, whether it's people thinking about the general macro headwinds of rates being higher for longer. There's some weird technical resistance around the round number of 100K for Bitcoin. And everyone is certainly watching Bitcoin first. I would say, though, that if you think about like the impact of the really the political and regulatory shift that's going to happen, really I anticipate a strong year for all digital assets of Bitcoin and everything else. But really, the regulatory shift is more meaningfully positive for tokens outside of just Bitcoin. Because when you think about it, Bitcoin has very clearly benefited from having a more clear recognition for why it exists. That narrative, that story is very known to a lot of people. And frankly, the change in administration doesn't change that. Everyone still knows that there is more adoption, but the story hasn't changed. It's actually for everything else, altcoins, the tokens that represent the other serious, productive projects that actually much more changes with the potential passage of comprehensive regulation. And so that's where we're spending a lot of time and really leaning into. And I think you'll start to see that as the year progresses.
We see similar things in other asset classes as well, right? So I would say by Monday, we'll be getting close to that all-time high of 108,000. I suspect then President Trump will suggest something in his speech. So I'd expect the asset class to be mentioned on Monday during the inauguration in some form. That'd be seen as a positive. And then after that, we need to see some announcements. And that's when the risk comes in for me, because clearly there are a lot of other things that the new administration will be focused on, not just what I would like to see in the digital asset space.
Are you going to be at the crypto ball? Snoop's going to be there.
Well, exactly. Unfortunately, not tonight for myself, but it sounds like there's a pretty good list going to that in Washington.
It's funny to me as well, because it's not as if this is part of the official inauguration or anything. They're just throwing a party a few blocks. Do they think he's going to stop by?
Well, for Monday's inauguration, because Trump intends to unleash a huge swath of deregulation. Boom. Okay, rolling back Biden's executive decisions, boy, there are a ton of those, while closing our borders and starting to deport who knows how many undocumented immigrants. Of course, many of these changes may not be allowed. Some will be acted on immediately. Some will never get kicked up to the Supreme Court. But it sure seems like Trump plans to come in hot to advance the prospects of business. That's the only thing that can justify this market's recent rally.
Here we are now. We went behind the scenes at Quantum. It's a venture-backed startup here in Silicon Valley. It's building high-powered computers that investors expect to be the next transformational technology after generative AI. The hype that we've seen around this industry is based on its potential to solve really complex problems that wouldn't be possible with classic computers right now. It all hinges on quantum physics, hence the name. It uses quantum bits or qubits. That makes it possible to explore multiple problems at once, which can be especially groundbreaking for complex math. Could be applied to drug discovery. Think of things like aerospace, encryption, material science, energy, genomics, and more.
A lot of people, really serious technical people, told me that self-driving cars would never happen in my lifetime. Too complicated, too difficult. And of course, now every other car that we see in Silicon Valley, in San Francisco, is a Waymo. And so quantum computing has a similar sort of trajectory.
Welcome to the Crypto Teacher, and I come back with that video just to make you think.
Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel.
And make sure you join the Patrons. If you're not a part of the Patrons, make sure you're hitting the Cash App. And also, guys, make sure you go like and follow the TikTok. More videos to come. And in 72 hours, we have a new president, and the movies are about to be stepped up. And we know it's no dull time with President Trump. We had Biden for 4 years, rarely saw him, never saw the VP Harris. But with Trump, we're going to get plenty of entertainment. So I'm definitely going to be stepping up the videos. Remember when he was in office when I first started? And we have the crypto ball in DC, and one of the guests is Snoop Dogg. Yes, guys, you can't make this stuff up. And we have the Bitcoin narrative sold crypto, but now it's time for utility to come in. And Trump's family is leading what? DeFi. And who's in charge of Trump? That's right, the banks. And we know DeFi is definitely the new banking. And we don't have to guess whether Bitcoin is going to 50K or 200K. All we have to do is pay attention to the actual indicators. That's the Fed, these stable coins, and these yield rates. And the big rally that we had for 2 days was a narrative around CPI numbers, which we know the CPI numbers weren't good. But remember, guys, it's all about the narrative that the media wants to sell. And of course, once we get the narrative, the algorithm is going to move based on the narrative. We had yield rates fall and stocks and crypto start to pump. And we saw the inflows step up on these Bitcoin ETFs. Now, in the fourth industrial revolution, quantum computing is the next phase. And remember, guys, this is a plan. It moves in phases. These digital currencies, AI, algorithms, drones, this is all for the fourth industrial revolution. And Trump is going to do a whole lot of regulation and deregulation to make the fourth industrial revolution rise. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And remember, guys, your life is an illusion and TV is your reality. We have the TikTok ban. And guys, this is unbelievable because remember, they've had so many Congress meetings on how bad TikTok was. That was the whole point of how it got to the Supreme Court. Trump was against TikTok. Biden was against TikTok. Now that the Supreme Court has ruled in their favor, now all of a sudden they want TikTok to not get banned. This is unbelievable. It just doesn't make any sense, but they can get away with it because we know the sheep stay distracted on things that don't matter. And we have the BRICS led by China is about to make big moves over these next 4 years because remember, the emerging markets lead this fourth industrial revolution. So no matter what the mainstream media tries to sell you, how the economies are doing so bad, especially in China, when we just saw they had a 6% growth in GDP numbers. And then you're talking about billions are about to come out of poverty due to Belt and Road and these digital currencies. And remember, the crypto teacher told you. And we have M&A will pick up. And guys, yes, that sounds crazy. More consolidation. And we know a handful of companies on all your media, on all your food, and they talking about even more consolidation. And if you're a small and medium-sized business, and these big corporations offer you a big check on money that they printed out of thin air, of course you're going to take it. That was the whole point of you starting your business. You wanted to become rich, so of course you're going to take the deal. And the NWO understands that. And that's why they say, you own nothing, but you will be happy. And remember, the crypto teacher told you, because he knows when it comes to the NWO, it's all planned out. You have a wonderful day.
Look, I mean, this is a game of high-stakes poker. And ultimately, if you see, I think the next move is really going to be Trump's probably going to do a 90-day, we've almost stay, as they try to figure out how they could ultimately get this sold or lease structured. We think Musk is going to play a key role in terms of X and ultimately could buy this 40 to 50 billion. I believe it would be the price tag without the algorithm. Oracle could be involved as well. And look, this is a very important matter, and especially in terms of U.S.-China relations. And that's why the last thing that's going to happen here is that TikTok ultimately gets banned. They're going to work something out behind the scenes.
China is the most unbalanced economy in the history of the world. They are in a severe recession/depression. They may have minus 4% disinflation, and they are attempting to export their way out of that as opposed to doing the much-needed internal rebalance.
exporting their way out of this economic slump in China, causing cheap goods to be dumped in the U.S. He is not a fan of that, perhaps overshadowing the fact he would be tough on tariffs when it comes to China. Watch out for how the dollar performs on Monday if we get any flurry of executive orders from Trump on that manner. But speaking of tariffs, we have heard from two policymakers recently that they are doubting the tariffs' impact on inflation. We heard from former Fed Governor Kevin Warsh, touted to be the next Fed chair, saying he doesn't see a significant impact on inflation from tariffs. We also heard from Fed Governor Waller saying he sees the same thing. Further interesting comments, though, from Waller that made this Treasury rally take another leg higher for the second day in a row. He said he does see the Fed cutting in the first half of this year and did not take, he did not take the March meeting off the table, meaning that March meeting for a Fed cut is still live.
Asia is quite well poised. Why do I say that? Trade has been flatlining in the world in general, but Asia is pumping way above its weight. So India, which is growing well as an economy, is roughly poised to grow at 6% annually on trade, which is quite remarkable. Southeast Asian nations, because of their manufacturing capability and their strategic treaties, are well poised as well. And China, which people often comment what's going on there, because of the indigenous technologies, as well as the trade that they have with emerging markets, is also actually well poised. So I feel, in summary, whichever way the policies go, Asia is well poised on the trade front.
Well, the opportunities are there, but so are the risks. We talk about how Donald Trump's policies, will impact countries like Canada. We talked about China. We talk about Mexico. These economies, for instance, are ready to fight back. It's tit for tat. There will be ripple-down effects. I'm just wondering how you assess all of that.
So you're right. There is more uncertainty in the world. If I was advising business leaders or CEOs, our core issue is you got to be ready for a far more uncertain world.
Big one for us tends to be M&A, takeovers, and that's one thing with the new administration. We think certainly they'll have a lot of pro-growth economic policies that are good for everybody, but specifically on takeovers, we think they're going to be a lot friendlier. Last year, takeovers were up about 10%, 3.2 trillion globally, but still well off the peak. We think that's going to accelerate into this year, and we think that we're going to identify a lot of targets.
Yeah, I mean, M&A volumes as a percentage of GDP, as a percentage of stock market value, really pretty low versus history, right? So what pockets of the market or what individual names do you actually feel like are pretty ripe in this scenario?
So we're looking across the board. We do see some areas that are particularly ripe for consolidation. One I'd say is the food industry. They've struggled of late. There are some headwinds, inflation, just a tighter consumer.
Going to a different economy, and we're going to be learning more about that as we go. But clearly, we're learning that things can be done from remote locations. We're learning that technology can replace people even more than we thought.
We're not going back to the same economy. We're recovering, but to a different economy, and it'll be one that is more leverage to technology, and I worry that that is going to make it even more difficult than it was for many workers.
In Silicon Valley, and my friends who work in technology know that what we did to the manufacturing workers, we are now going to do to the retail workers, the call center workers, the fast food workers, the truck drivers, and then even bookkeepers, accountants, insurance agents, lawyers, and on through the economy. So what happened to the manufacturing workers is a very clear sign.
And so we'll import Chinese-based CBDC technology. So it's going to be CBDC in a box provided to you by the People's Bank of China.
But every stock, every bond, every currency, every commodity, every piece of art, every private business, every piece of real estate will eventually be a token on a blockchain, an entry on a ledger, permanent and immutable. We will have truth instead of trust. And we will save over $7 trillion a year. 6 to 8% of global GDP is wasted by the friction of the trust industry that's necessary when you have dual entry accounting. With triple entry accounting, which is what a blockchain is, we get rid of all of that friction. It's a beautiful future.
Like what you see in China and their social credit scoring systems, right? If we get identity wrong, it could be a tool to enslave humanity. And if we get it right, it could be a tool to liberate humanity. And as an American, I'm obviously rooting for the one that's on the side of freedom.
Bitcoin is an international asset. And also, I do believe the role of crypto is it's digitizing gold.
I actually believe this technology is going to be very important. Look at it. We have been part of a huge revolution in investing through ETFs. We believe that ETFs will be changing the whole way we invest. Many people still use it as a means, well, people are investing it for indexing. No, the majority of people who are putting money in in ETFs are active investors that are buying exposure. The entire bond market is being transformed as we talk right now. I believe the next generation for markets, the next generation for securities will be tokenization of securities. And if we could have that distributed ledger that we know every beneficial owner, every beneficial seller, we all have our code of who's buying, who's selling, instantaneous settlement. And think about it, it changes the whole ecosystem.
Chinese bank ICBC has been hit by a ransomware attack, and the U.S. Treasury market, as a result of that, has been disrupted. This, according to the Financial Times. We're getting at more right now with Bloomberg's Shonali Bassick. Shonali, what do we know?
Listen, we have the Financial Times now reporting that ICBC, one of China's largest banks here, was hit with a ransomware attack. And remember, they're a very significant intermediary in the Treasury market. The SIFMA has told its members that this has been part of the reason here that the system is kind of clogged up, if you will, during that auction that we saw a little bit before. The attack had prevented ICBC, according to the Financial Times, from settling Treasury trades on behalf of other market participants. A large executive at a major bank also telling the paper that such a large party on the fixed income clearing corp creates major concerns, potentially impacting the liquidity of Treasury markets.
Now, it was not just a poor auction. It was absolutely lousy, and when the dealers have to step in to save a treasury auction, that's a rare occurrence.
Cryptoteacher and the New World Order book, plus the 3 kids books. It's time to re-educate. Also, new to cryptos, Coinbase, Bitrue, Binance. Do not forget book links and crypto links are in the description. The stock channel, guys. Don't forget to go like, subscribe, spread everywhere. You have your Kobo, your chip stocks, your banking, your gaming. While everybody's sitting at home, get home stocks, the Seaver, the biotech stocks. And while everybody's at home wishing, they were still getting that free money. What are they doing? Drinking and smoking weed. Don't forget about those stocks, and you have a wonderful day. The most powerful person in the world is the storyteller. The storyteller sets the vision, values, and agenda of an entire generation to come. Steve Jobs. And guys, you know I truly believe in this. When you look at the New World Order, they're the storytellers. And that's the reason why I wrote my New World Order book. But guys, now it's time to change the current generation. And I wrote 3 kids books. You know I love the Trinity because I understand the power that's in it. So I have 3 books. We have an opportunity to change the generation, to educate, not just me, but I want to show you that I take action on a daily basis. And I want you to take action on a daily basis. Whether it's your job, whether it's in your community, we have an opportunity right now to educate the masses. I posted this on my Twitter account. Please share, but this is a short clip of the 3 books. There's going to be a clothing line and action figures. Please get these books for your kids, nephews, cousins, friends, so therefore we can start the re-education now. Because as we see, the 4th Industrial Revolution foundation is definitely here. Robots, algorithms, drones, taking humanity out the picture. We have to re-educate. But let's get into the video.
Part 1. King Joshua and Drama Team save the village. Part 2. King Joshua and Drama Team save New York. COVID Stories 3. Part 3. King Joshua and Drama Team goes to China.
It's mandatory to get part 1, part 2, and part 3 of this series. It's time to re-educate Generation Z.